Another edition of Riding Home. It's the off season, sort of. We've got a really big question for you, Dean Legge, Matt DeBerry, Ryan Curley. Ryan, if you were Brock Powers, would you play in this Orange Bowl?
No, I mean I wouldn't play in this Orange Bowl. We're talking about a top 10 pick, potentially top 5, maybe depending on how things shake out, how teams feel, they what they need in that top 5. But this is a guy who, if he falls out of the top 15 in this upcoming NFL draft, that would be shocking almost. It'd be almost, that's how good he is. So you're dealing with injuries. At the end of the day, this game doesn't mean that much. I wouldn't play in it. I think he will, though, right? That's what it
Oh,
seems like. I mean,
I don't. Are you
I haven't
reporting?
heard anything about it.
Are you reporting otherwise, Matt
No?
DeBerry? Do you have a comment?
No, I don't think he should play. If I'm Brock Bowers, I'm not playing, but I'm not Brock Bowers. I'm not that machine, that guy who loves football and loves to compete and loves the University of Georgia. I think if it were up to him, he's probably like, yeah, I'd love to play one more time with my teammates, for Coach Smart, with these guys. But I think even Kirby's probably like, listen, dude, we appreciate everything. The great 3 years. You're one of the best tight ends in college football history. Why don't you just sit this one out? Because he was obviously not 100% against Alabama. We don't know if he's going to be 100%. We would assume so, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's worth the risk. But this is not a J.R. Reed situation where he skipped the Sugar Bowl, Dean. I'm not going to get over that, and then didn't get drafted like a buffoon. What are you doing?
Are you
This
trying?
guy has a chance to get drafted in at least the top 15, so I would agree there. Hey, man, probably don't need to play in this game. But I don't really know what he's going to do, Dean.
I can see you're trying to trigger me, and I will not allow it. I will not allow it. Listen, if
Now,
I
I'm
were,
sure good enough there for both of us. I
yeah.
still can't believe that, but whatever.
Did you say who was?
I'm still triggered about him skipping the Sugar Bowl as a team captain, thinking he's going to hurt his draft stock. Dude skips the Sugar Bowl, doesn't even get drafted. I mean, it's just an all-time dumb move. Brock Bowers is not a dumb guy. I think he's going to want to play, but at the end of the day, I don't think we're going to see 19 out there in Fort Lauderdale.
So I don't think we will either. Miami Gardens.
Well, yeah.
Miami
Gardens. Get it right.
Yeah.
Geography expert Matt DeBerry chiming in. I don't think we will. I think the smart move is to not. But I mean, I'm concerned that we will see him play. I mean, I think that if I were the Knowles, I would definitely be concerned about him playing. So I did not realize how. I knew Georgia was banged up in the Alabama game for sure, but it's so I've not watched the last 2 times Georgia's played Alabama. I've not watched the SEC championship game yet, and I've not watched the national championship game yet. Still, we're that far away from it. I still have not watched it, but it's quite clear that Lai McConkey was really in bad position. Brock Bowers was too, and I just don't know. There's 2 things here, Ryan. A, he will be healthy, certainly healthy-ish completely by the time they play this game. But what is the point? And I have another question for Matt after you get done. What is the reason to play this game, Ryan?
I think that brotherhood and connection that they talk about would be the reason. That'd be one of the reasons. The other is I think the guy just loves playing football. I really think that's what it is at the end of the day. I'm not a doctor. I thought that Ole Miss was a little soon, and it was. I mean, it was. Look at in hindsight with what happened. So he wanted to come back so bad after his injury that they fast tracked him, and he went out there and played and contributed.
Why do you say it was too early?
I mean, it was obvious in that game and from there on out that he was not 100%. And 100% Brock Bowers not only helps Georgia, it's just an entire issue for a defense. I mean, he's out there accepting tackles.
So
that's not Brock Bowers.
But I can't make a judgment on that. I'm not fighting your statement necessarily. What I am going to say is, at what point in the NFL are you 100%? Maybe the first 3 games. I mean, I
don't know.
That's
what I'm saying. It's I'm not commenting from a place of science. I'm just commenting from what I'm seeing.
Matt, here's my question. We just took a look at the River's Edge bench from Eco Poly, made of completely recycled plastics. Make sure you're checking that out down below. These are some awesome benches. The one that we just showed you was 100 pounds, and made from our friends at Eco Poly down in the heart of Georgia. Matt, What about what Bryce Young and Will Anderson did last year, though? I mean, here we have two of the top three picks that played in the draft. I mean, can Brock Bowers benefit from playing?
I'm not sure how much he could. I just think the guy's like a lab. If you put a ball in front of him, he just wants to play.
Yeah.
He doesn't get tired. The guy's a machine. He's out there giving everything he has. Like Ryan said, I mean, he was scoring touchdowns against Ole Miss and playing really well, and you knew he wasn't 100%. But I mean, the NFL coaches have to like that part, knowing that he is probably a top 15 pick. He's going to stay practice with his team all December and playing that game. They have to love that effort, that max effort that we've heard about from Brock Bowers since day one. The way he practices, the way he competes. He doesn't want to sit out. And I'm sure he wished he was a little healthier for that Alabama game. I'm not sure he can increase his draft stock just by one game. I mean, there's so much film of him already the past 3 years. I'm not sure what he could do to elevate himself. I think he just has to be as healthy as possible come pro days and the combine, and he's going to kill all that, the rest of the stuff, the measurables, talking to GMs. He's going to crush all that. At the end of the day, I would love to see him out there. I'm not sure it's the smartest thing, but knowing Brock, like we all do a little bit covering him, we know he would love to be out there.
Hey, make sure, speaking of Georgia and Alabama, we don't have tons of these left, but this is a really neat Christmas gift. Kelee Ringo signed with his distinctive autograph. A Kelee Ringo signed DAWGSTRUCTION from Georgia's national championship. I have to be specific, from their national championship in 2021, Ryan. We were all there for that one. And Brock Bowers scored the last offensive touchdown in that game. The link for that is down below. Don't miss out. I'm not going to have those forever, so get it today. I don't know. I mean, yes, the romantic part of all of this would be for Brock Bowers to go out there and play one last time. You know, Jake Fromm. I did not know that was going to be Jake Fromm's final game at Georgia. I was warned that it before the season that it very well should be or could be. Jake, that's another discussion for another time. I don't know that the audience is super interested in it, to be honest with you anyway. I don't. You know, Jake Fromm. That's what's so crazy about this time at Georgia, y'all, is that Jake Fromm, who was a pretty significant player at Georgia, is like completely forgotten about in every way. I don't think we're going to forget about Brock Bowers anytime soon. I mean, Ryan, this guy, what's your most memorable moment of Brock Bowers in this 3-year period?
I think it's probably the Auburn game.
Yeah.
When you look at it, I think it's probably the Auburn game. The way that he just kind of took over a quarter, took over a drive there, the 2 one-handed catches in a row, being able to just scamper by people, showing all game he could break tackles. It was the best game of his life. It was, and he's had better stat lines than he had that day. He had a hat trick against Kentucky in 2021. I think at the end of the day, though, this will probably come down to he lost his last game as a Georgia Bulldog if he doesn't play in the Orange Bowl. And I think that a lot of the players would have a hard time with that, and that's going to factor into their decision, I think, whether or not to sit out.
And that's the thing, Matt. We've not seen Georgia play a, quote, meaningless bowl game. Well, I guess since the Peach Bowl. Who sat out of that Peach Bowl? Aziz Ojolari helped himself for sure, I would say.
Yeah. It felt like there were several guys. They're just not coming to my head right now. But I think, we talked about before that game with Cincinnati that the second innings, no one's going to care about it. But I do think part of it did kind of carry over into the next year. You know, it's always good to win that last game, whether it matters or not. But the way they did it with the long field goal at the very end, it was an exciting finish in a game that left a good taste in Georgia's mouth after, 2 losses in that regular season. I mean, that was a bigger deal than people might remember.
Right.
Cincinnati, of all teams, Cincinnati. It was still a win that I think kind of kept the positive vibes going on around Dawg Nation.
Well, what about Jack Penesley? Aziz was leaving, but Jack Penesley, getting the ball to Kenny McIntosh from JT Daniels. I mean, I'll just say this as a person who's covered this team for almost a quarter century. The bowl game doesn't seem like it matters, and in that moment, it really kind of doesn't. I mean, the Outback Bowl in 2011, the loss to Michigan State, they should have never lost that game. The loss to the UCF the year before that. There have been some. One more time.
The loss to Nebraska was at 20.
13. That was a rough looking situation.
Real bad.
But as it turns out, the next game is Clemson, really. And, I think for both these teams, and we'll have plenty to talk about with the Orange Bowl coming up, but with both these teams, this is an important moment in time for both of them. I would say particularly for Florida State with how much they've complained about missing. We got the governor of Florida trying to open up come on, man. Their next game is actually in Dublin, Ireland against the Jackets. So I don't think Georgia Tech can lose that game to the Noles. But we'll just see. And they play at Notre Dame. Florida State's got Cal, allegedly, Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami. There's some curious matchups for the Noles, and they've got to set a marker here. But Brock Bowers, amazing career. We don't know if this will be if we've seen the last of Brock. We don't know, and we'll just see.